Welcome to the Kent Lapp Podcast.
All right, so I want to come back to you finding your stories, but let me ask you: is the the way you talk when you're reporting in that 1 minute is different than how you're talking now? Like, you know what I mean?
Good.
But it's how reporters talk.
I was afraid I was going to come in here and completely be like super reporter-y.
Talk like a reporter.
Yes.
Okay, so that reporter talk, is that something that you're trained to talk like that?
I think I got it throughout just wanting to be a reporter for so long. In high school, I competed in speech and debate. For TV newscasting was an option there. And so my speech and debate coach, who's like, I give him so much credit for my career, but he helped me. He was just like, go watch your favorite people, see how they talk, see how they look on TV, see how their facial expressions are with each story. And so everybody had that reporter voice. Now, a lot of people, when we have experts come in and talk to us about, the things we're like, critique us on the things we're supposed to be doing, a lot of them are like, stop talking like that. You don't talk like that in person. Start talking like a normal human being. But there's something in us reporters, I don't know, that have grown up watching people with that voice, and we just go back to it every time. One thing is, though, I started when I was 21, so I felt like I had to have some kind of authority on camera.
Okay.
And I think that's another reason why I
Interesting.
have that voice too.
So that voice is not something you were taught at reporter school or whatever after college, and it's not something you were taught in any of your classes in college.
We did have a performance class that was awesome. Favorite teacher, Dr. Nancy DuPont, taught it, and she taught us about breathing and voices, but she was very clear that everybody has their own voice. And you could have a Southern accent if you worked in the South, and people like that. If you're, but if you want to, get a better voice, she taught us how to articulate a little bit and breathe through our stomach like singers and stuff like that. But it was never like, oh, you need this specific voice. That's our own doing.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that actually surprises me, because I don't know exactly how you explain it, but I feel like there's a definitiveness to the sentences, and it's crisp and clear, and it's like you're bringing your voice tone down, and
we did have that. Yes, that was some of our exercises of like, make sure when you're not talking, then you just kind of drift off like that.
Sure.
And then make sure when you're breathing, we write in short sentences, so we have time to breathe in between them.
Okay.
And don't breathe in the middle of your sentence. That kind of stuff you are taught. Yes.
Okay.
I thought you were talking a little bit about like I drop it down lower and I.
No, that's
really
what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, that is what I'm talking about. Yeah.
I think I started doing that just to feel more professional.
Okay, interesting. But now you're saying like the experts that come in now are trying to get news reporters just to talk more like a normal person, just like they would when they're not on camera?
Mm-hmm. Because I think nowadays especially, your YouTube stars, your people, and people are super authentic online and on TV. Reality TV is a big thing. So they want you just to feel like a normal person who you'd have just talk like, everybody says, talk like you're talking to your mom.
Okay. But that's a shift, because those experts probably weren't saying that 10 years ago, right?
I don't know. Maybe not.
I mean,
probably not.
Because this didn't come from nowhere. You know what I mean? Like at some point, this is sort of how you sound when you report the news.
Well, think about the radio hosts from like the 1940s when you hear them all talk like this. Like that was some weird voice that they had back then too.
Okay.
I think it's just ingrained in us through culture of having to have authoritative voices. I mean, you do react to authority. I noticed when I started talking like that, when I wore heels as a 5'4", 21-year-old, when I dressed in a Calvin Klein dress instead of a sundress, I get taken more seriously.
Sure.
And so I think that is what happens with all of that.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, that's just how it is, I guess, that's human nature. I don't even think it's wrong. It's just how it is.
I guess so.
I'm just surprised that you weren't taught to speak that way. That's kind of surprising to me.
Yeah.
It's interesting that like the industry, the people pick up on that. Like growing up into it and wanting to do that, you're watching reporters, you're listening to how they talk, you're listening, and you kind of that just wears off on you, and then that's how you talk, and like the system just perpetuates itself. Yeah, it just builds itself. It's like you're being, what's the term, like apprenticed, by others. Absolutely. Unofficially.
Well, and I think too, I've always kind of had I remember, because I've wanted to do it for so long, I remember being on vacation, maybe the 9th grade with my family, and a waiter saying, "You all have Southern accents, but this one child, how is that? Are you not part of the family? You look like them." And so I always tried to keep the Southern accent kind of distant, even though my family's from Mississippi. I grew up in Collierville, Tennessee. If you go to the Grove with me and tailgate, I'm going to start talking like this, and I say ain't a lot.
Oh, really?
To where my coworkers were like, "Is this your real voice, or is the one at work your real voice?" When
Oh,
they
yeah?
visited me in Mississippi. But yeah, I think it's just something that we do, that I have always done. I've actually had to tone it down a lot because I would start talking like this and go up and down, and had to really learn how to sound more natural.
So your family has a much more thick Southern accent than you do?
Yes.
And you sort of, because you wanted to be a reporter from a young age, you intentionally kind of stamped that down a little bit?
Yes. I told you it was my whole identity. That's all I wanted to do, is do anything I could to be a reporter.
Did you have a more thick Southern accent and then you sort of reverse course on it?
You know,
I mean, I assume you probably did, right?
I think my accent was the worst when I was in college because I was living in Oxford, Mississippi, where everyone had thick accents. And I go back and I watch the student media, and it's real cute because my voice is so high and I'm talking like this and I got a little accent. Yeah, I think it ebbs and flows depending on who I'm with. And a lot of times in the reporter position, I'm in that state of mind. It's almost like code switching.
Code switching?
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
A lot of people talk about it when they have accent. Now, I don't think mine's completely code switching. Like some people do. A lot of minorities talk about it, how they talk one way with their family, and then when they're around, people who are the majority, I guess, that they start talking like them.
I see.
So it may be that same trigger.
Sure. Yeah, it makes sense.